What's going on, guys? Austin Zaback here with another video. We have a very special guest in today's video, okay? It is actually Ramon out of New Mexico. Now, this is a guy that you're going to have a chance to hear from here in just a minute, and we're really going to peel back the onion on how he's been able to do what he's been able to do. But just to kind of just talk about a couple of the accomplishments here and the accolades, this guy is somebody that at 24 years old started his own brokerage. In the last several years has done $250 million between him and his team in gross real estate sales. He's an author, he's a coach, he's friends with some of the very most cool people in the real estate industry and so much more. So I'm just excited to have you on here, Ramon, and just talk a little bit about how you've been able to do so much in such a short period of time.
Cool, man. Thanks, dude. Thanks for the big warm up there. I appreciate the hospitality. It's interesting. I wrote that book, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of plays into the whole mentality of, it's called No Permission Needed. But I think that's really, if you like fundamentally, when I thought about my first book, I'm like, okay, I've had some wins, right? Not the most accomplished dude out there, but I've had some wins. But what was it that got me those first wins and got me to where I'm at today? And it was that mentality of like, you don't need permission from anybody to do anything. If you want it, you can do it. If you truly want it, right? People say they want it, but they don't really want it. If you really want it, no one's going to give you permission, number one, but you also don't need anybody's approval or anybody's, you don't need to listen to all the voices coming out of the stands telling you this, telling you that. If you want it, just make it happen. And that's as simple as it gets. And that's all jam-packed in that first book.
Dude, I love that, man. That's so cool. You don't meet a lot of people. At least I haven't met a lot of people. I mean, you're under 30 years old. You're 28 years old. To be an author, to take the time, obviously, I've looked in, I've talked to some publishers and stuff, but I mean, to have the schedule that you have, and then to be able to go ahead and take the time to write a book and it be a good book. I mean, it be a book packed with value and knowledge and wisdom. It's just incredible, man. And it's incredible what you're doing. And I love the mindset of it. Anything the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve.
For sure, man. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you hear about somebody writing a book and you hear about books, then you're like, well, subconsciously or consciously, you don't believe that you could ever write one, or you wouldn't have something of significance to say. But then once you learn the process, you understand how it works, like what's holding you back? It's just you. If you want to do it, just do it. Yeah. So that's one of many books, right? I don't look at anything as a one-time deal, right? You're only as good as the last thing you did. So there's more to come on that.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to read the next ones that you do. And I'll definitely have to talk to you more about that too. I'd love to have a book by the time, I'm a couple of years younger than you. So I got to work real hard to be where you're at in a couple of years, but I'm excited, man, to just be able to interact with people like you. And not only that, be able to take, what you are doing, right? The knowledge and wisdom that you have, and just share it with anybody listening. So, if you're listening right now, if you're watching, make sure, depending on the platform, comment down below, smash the like button, and, just stay tuned to the very end, because we're really going to dive into this and keep it short, simple, and to the point. But, what I want to dive into a little bit, Ramon, is, at 24 years old, you started a brokerage, right? And it's not something that you hear every day. I mean, at 24 years old, I was just an agent, right? I was doing well, but the thought of starting a brokerage, like what, I guess maybe even go back a little bit further in time, how long were you in real estate? Did you get in when you were 18 years old? And what time frame was that? And then what caused you to eventually start that brokerage?
Yep, for sure. So I graduated from college of University of New Mexico in 2015. And I always knew I wanted to work in real estate, but real estate, it's funny. It's this big, if you don't know what real estate is, it's this big word, and you can't even grasp how many different subcategories you could be involved in real estate. So I just knew real estate, and I ended up getting hooked up with this company called Camden Property Trust, which is a publicly traded real estate investment trust based out of Houston, Texas. Great company. And I landed an internship there. So I was living in Tampa, Florida when I was 21. And I was going to get a full-time offer from that company, but really it came down to the company, nothing wrong with the company, but the whole 9 to 5 thing, it just killed me. And honestly, I from an income standpoint, I mean, I knew what I was going to make. and I knew what promotions kind of looked like. I just wasn't really willing to wait around. And frankly, I wanted to make more money. It's, it's just the reality of the situation. So that was like the dream job. That was what I had planned out. And then it just didn't end up working out. So I came back, got my real estate license in 2016. And, first year, just like anyone, I don't even know how the signs work. I'm like, wait, well, how do the signs, what this house, what, so you put your face on it and then people come and look at it. Like, nothing. So
right.
2016, throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks. But in 2016, it was kind of a trendy thing with teams. I started hearing more and more about teams. And at the time, I didn't know anything. So it just made sense. I was like, yeah, more people, you can make a little bit of money off the team, but I'm like, you can leverage your brand. You reach that many more people. It seemed to me like you could do more business that way. So I started a team my first 6 months. And then the way that the law, this is how people always ask, how'd you open a brokerage at 24? So the law used to be, you had to be licensed 2 out of 5 years, out of the most recent 5 years. And the law was changing my second year in real estate. So now it's 4 out of 5 years.
Got it.
But on the exact anniversary date of my second year, I was opening the doors to my own office. So at the exact 2-year mark, I snuck in, got all the credentials, and I opened my brokerage. Now, the reason I opened a brokerage was because, frankly, I didn't know any better. I didn't know that I didn't know that it was me interviewing companies to work at the brokerages. I thought I got a job at RE/MAX. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh man, I got hired at RE/MAX. Like I didn't know that anyone would have taken me.
Right.
And so I grew a team, and we were really close knit, and still to this day, our team functions we're very easy to identify because we have a very tight culture. But nobody recruited me. Nobody called me. I didn't even know about Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, EXP.
Yeah.
I only knew RE/MAX, and nobody ever recruited me. So the only thing that I could think of was, well, I'll just open my own brokerage then. So I wasn't like some like appearing off in the future. It was just nobody recruited me.
Right.
On top of that, we started a property management company, and that was kind of that's a sticking point with brokerages. So we grew that property management company from 0 to 900 doors in about 8 months after opening our independent brokerage. So we're on like a whirlwind of real estate for the next, even to this day. But yeah, that's how the whole brokerage thing shook out.
Got it. That makes all the sense in the world. That it's really interesting, that you right out of the gate in real estate, right? And then you go, it just so happens that they have this law where you can do that. You have the team, and then all of a sudden you're opening the brokerage. One thing that kind of comes to my mind, and I'm just curious, and I'll bet you people listening and watching are curious. And the only reason that I even want to ask the question I'm going to ask is because I've been asked this question a million times, and I haven't done, close to what you've done. And that is like, all of these younger dudes that are getting into real estate, younger gals, that are 21, 22, 23, even like 25 years old. The questions they always ask is like, Austin, like, how do you have the belief, right? How do you have the belief to where, your people take you seriously? And, having a brokerage and having a team, like now, not only do you have to have the belief with your clientele, right? With the buyers and with the sellers, but you've got to be able to attract other real estate agents to come into your office and to work with you and for you. And not all those real estate agents are going to be younger than you, right? When you're that young, some are going to be older than you. And like mentally, right, for you, what was the, like, did you just have an unbelievable amount of belief in yourself, or was it just like, were you naive? I mean, what was that?
The reality is that in 2016, that was my first year in real estate. I was flat broke by February, like March. So I graduated college, January, February, March, flat broke, ran out of money, didn't sell a house. Like I wasn't some superstar sales agent. That's not how it worked out. And I had to get a loan from my dad. And, he asked me, well, what do you need? Like, well, I was like, shit, I drive this old shitty Chevy Impala car. I need signs. And I was like, and then I'm going to take like $5,000. I'm going to pump it into Zillow because I got no business. Like I basically like just said, look, and he said, well, don't give me like a number you think, like map it out, tell me the number. And he gave me a loan for $10,000. Now, it's funny because exactly a year and 3 months later, I had that $10,000 loan. I did my first 6-figure month. Wow. But the reason I'm telling you that is because when I took money from my dad, it was no longer a game to me. I wasn't fucking around. That was serious. Like I had stopped going on vacations. I stopped going, that's a big, to me, some people take money. I don't know how everyone feels about it, but for me, taking money from my family, that's like, there's something that just hits you a little bit different. Also from an ego standpoint, when you got to ask dad for cash. So, that was one thing. But second is when you compound though, the not fucking around mentality. And I obsessed over real estate. And I still to this day, if you have a house in my market, I'm scrolling MLS while I'm working out in the morning. Like I might not even ever sell a house this year, but I'm going to be scrolling MLS. And so it was that obsession with real estate that I didn't care about how long you've been doing it. That I don't care about that. And so when you're working with people and you are, and you're trying to attract them, you're trying to teach them how to sell, what happens is do you get people that go, oh, what does this 22-year-old know? Or what does this 23-year-old know? But here's where you spend enough time around me, you're going to figure out that it's not, I may know more than you, or I may not, but regardless I'm going to work harder than you are. And I'm going to get the results. So like when you have that mentality, I think people start to respect the mentality. They might not, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to sell a house, like, you go to a listing appointment and you're competing with someone who sold every other home in that neighborhood. Like what else do you have to sell them? You got to sell yourself. You can't stop. You have to get out of selling experience. If you try to go down that road, you're going to find yourself feeling like you're not enough, or you don't have the credentials and the lack of belief. But when you compound that, you get out of college, you got to learn, hey man, I can't drink like that anymore. Like I got to start going to the gym. When my friends want to go do this or that, like that's not the same person anymore. I live, sleep, eat, and breathe real estate. That's it. On top of that, I think that I think I said this when we were at the Dallas event, was I went all over the country. So I was sitting at the Inman conferences taking notes. And Dan Beer is funny. We shared the stage the other day. I was taking notes from him. I'm like, man, okay, Dan says this, that, the other. And I would take those notes and I'd bring it back to my people and my team. So you're also bringing new ideas. You're executing on stuff. Like the bar just keeps getting higher and higher and higher, where people go, man, this guy might be young, but shit, this guy's going somewhere. Yeah. Like, I want to get on this train. And that's the mentality you have to create. And at the end of the day, if you don't have the sales, what else do you have? You have yourself. And that's what you got to start selling, is yourself.
You got the belief, man. No, I love that. That's probably like, I've never heard it that way from anybody besides myself. People, you basically gave the same answer that I always give people. You worded it a lot better than I normally do, but dude, it's so true, man. Like, for anybody watching and listening like that, like you got to go rewind that and listen to Ramon again, because, it doesn't get any more true than that, right? Like, if you're young, you have your hard work, right? Remember, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? And so, dude, I've been the same way, man. Growing up, and in real estate, I had no idea what I was doing. And it's funny, and I'll spend like 1 second talking about it, but I've never gotten a listing using a listing presentation to this very day right now. Because, dude, I go in there and I talk to people and I sell myself every single time. I don't sell the marketing I'm going to do. I don't sell all the crap I'm going to do. I tell them, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to sell the house, right? Whatever that looks and feels like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go study the people that are doing it in this neighborhood, and I'm going to 10x whatever they're doing, whatever magazine. Just consider it done, right? Yeah. I'll door knock. I'll do whatever it takes.
You got to study for these first appointments like you're studying for a damn exam. Like, yep. You can't leave one stone unturned. And this is one thing I've noticed. You mentioned younger people. So if you're younger in age, actual age, and you're listening to this, or shit, even if you're just younger in your entrepreneurial journey or in real estate, we live in a social media world, right? And I actually really like what you've been doing with the showing your fitness journey, because you're showing the ugly shit, but you're also showing the results, but you're showing the process in between what gets the results. But going back to showing the ugly is that people don't want to show the ugly, right? So when you're new in the business, like nobody wants to admit they're broke. No one wants to admit their credit card's maxed out or they have no business. Like you're trying to create an image that shows people that you want to do business with me. Well, here's the deal. That sometimes holds us back from jumping on opportunity because we don't want to seem desperate. You don't want to seem like you're broke. You don't want people to go, oh man, he must really need that deal. Well, I always tell new agents, and I'm like, yeah, no shit, you need the deal. Like, quit acting like you have some persona. You don't got shit. Like, you're broke and you've never sold anything. Like, get real with yourself. But what happens is, oh, I don't want to come off too strong. You don't want to come off too strong. Oh, so you don't want to come off strong enough, so you don't get the deal, right? Like, I always baffles me, and it's because they don't want someone to think, oh, they're desperate, or oh, they must not have a lot of business, or oh, they're trying too hard, or oh, I don't want to hang out with them because all they try to do is talk and sell real estate. I'm like, yeah, that's what you do though, right?
Right.
So that feeling of not wanting to seem desperate, that holds a lot of people back because they don't want their friends to think they're having a hard time, or, they don't want people to think, oh, they were right when they told you you're going to have a hard time selling real estate. Like, yeah, this is hard, but you got to not desperate, like creepy desperate, like text you every day or every minute desperate. But like, you just have to show people through your actions that you really want to do business with them, right? In a professional manner, not in a weird way, but that I see that all the time when people want to, oh, MLS at the coffee shop. I'm like, you ain't doing shit.
Like everybody's so busy, right? It's like, show me the numbers.
They're too conscientious of what other people think about their actions.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I only care about if I get the deal or not. I could care less about, because at the end of the day, the result will quiet everybody down who had an opinion about anything. The result will solve everything.
And when's the last time somebody else's opinion paid your bills, right? I love that, man. I think it's the most true thing in the entire world. That is like some fire golden nuggets right there. Golden nuggets like that, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, from what I've learned in my life, talking to Ramon here, is, we're always searching, right? We scour social media, Instagram. You're probably watching the video right now, and we're searching for this like magic formula, this one video that'll change our life, this one podcast, this one, whatever. And it's the little golden nuggets like that right there. The little bitty things that will change your life. It's not this one big event or this one big video or this one, whatever. It's an accumulation of the little bitty golden nuggets. You implement them day in and day out, and all of a sudden
and it's doing it over and over. So like, I don't want to see, like, I always want to get this point across, especially when I'm talking to people about businesses, that I'm not waving the success flag around going, oh, look what I've done. Look, you put out a post about a podcast and I messaged you directly and said, I'll do it. Yeah, let's do one together. Yep. Right. So I'm taking every opportunity I'm desperate. I'm still desperate. So I'm not acting like I don't do this or I don't do that shit. If I want something, I'm going to go get it. Yep. And I'm doing that, especially on more of the PR stuff. So when an opportunity comes up, I'm not too big to say, I want to do your podcast, or I'm not much. No, I want to do it. Here, yep. Let me know what I need to do. So that's the mentality you have to have, though, with not just sales, but just anything you want to do. You're never too big. You don't have it all figured out. Like, if you want to do it, make it happen. But who cares what anyone thinks about if I need to get on more podcasts? I could care less what anyone thinks. Right.
No, I love that, man. It's the truth, and I respect the humility in that. And I think humility plays a really, really, really big part in success and sustainability once you achieve or start to achieve a little bit of success. Obviously, you and I both know that we're never there, right? We've never made it in life, and we're always, the kind of person that you are, you're always going to be striving to become better and to do bigger and to do more. That leads me to one other thing, Ramon, too, that I want to touch on real quick while we're talking about this kind of whole subject here. Dude, we just were at an event in Dallas, and you spoke on stage in front of, I don't know how many people were in the room, but I'm going to guess, 5,000 or 6,000 people. Now, that's a lot of people. I mean, look, I've been on stages, I've talked to people, but nothing like that. What was, obviously you're confident, you believe in yourself, you you put yourself out there, you get uncomfortable, but was that, I mean, how, was that simple for you to do, getting out on that stage like that and getting in front of all those people? Or even then, was there still a little bit of uncomfortability there?
Yeah. I don't want to sound like, it was not that bad, man. And the reason it was funny because after I finished, the guys who were running it back there, they were like, "Hey, we were kind of nervous about you." And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Because you were just sitting there scrolling your phone, chilling out. Like you seemed too calm." And I was like, "Oh," and they're like, "But the moment you stepped on stage, you lit up like a Christmas tree." And I'm like, yeah, I was fine, man. It was no problem. But the reason is because I've been talking and doing that stuff. Like I got my own podcast, right? Battle Tested Business Podcast. I've had my sales team since 2017. And honestly, I've taken every opportunity probably in the last 2 years to get on a podcast or do a speaking thing. I don't care if it was 10 people, 100, 1,000, or now 5,000. I would deliver like I was talking to a million. And so I've repeated myself so many times. When I step on those stages, I don't have a drop of doubt that I'm going to deliver because I've done it so many times. So was it a little bit different? I mean, yeah, when you're using Tony Robbins stage setup, like it's a little different experience, but once I got there, I feel the same way I feel in my office that I'm going to feel tomorrow at 10 a.m. Doing my sales meeting. So I had a blast. It was a ton of fun. I've never been at an event either where that many people like come up to you, and it's kind of a weird feeling when they come up and want to take pictures and talk to you. It's a little bit different, but it was a blast, man. And I'm really grateful for everyone who was a part of that. That was fun. Dude,
that was a great time, man. And you crushed it up there. That was, I think that was initially how I was like, man, like this dude's killing it. I want to meet him. I'm just like you, man. I want to interact with people. I want to put myself out there. And ultimately, just network. I mean, it's all about, collaboration and camaraderie, in my opinion. And just, again, as everybody knows, and it's cliche, right? But your network is your net worth, and who you hang out with is who you'll be like. I'm really curious, you had this brokerage, right? You obviously had success. I want to say you had upwards of 50 agents, by the time you were, I would imagine like 25 or 26 years old, doing obviously hundreds of millions in production. And then all of a sudden you made a really big change, right? You decided to, and I actually don't know the reasoning behind this. So I'm excited to hear first time myself also, but you left that brokerage that you had built and you went to join another brokerage, right? That brokerage being EXP. I mean, there had to have been something major that you saw at this new brokerage that caused you to make that kind of decision.
So it's a combination of EXP's value proposition. And then it's a combination of what the traditional brokerage model doesn't provide. So you're right. In July 2020 is when I said, I'm going to do it. By the time I actually transferred and did everything, it was probably September. So I'm like at a year right now.
Got it.
And I made more money in July than I'd ever made in my entire life before. So I changed my whole model on the month that I made the most money selling real estate. So it's like, that was all right. I guess this is really good. We can do this. But starting with the traditional brokerage model, what I realized early on is that there's really no enterprise value in independent brokerages. There is value in them, but they don't trade and they don't sell for an attractive multiple. So the reason why I even started a company in the first place is because I worked my first 2 years in real estate, made a good amount of money, and said, okay, I know I don't want to sell real estate forever. So I have enough money now where I can start acting on building a real business that I can eventually hire myself out of. And so we did that. And, I wasn't hired out of the brokerage technically, but I realized that, okay, what's the vision here? Like I add another market down south, I go to Arizona, I go to Texas. Okay. Brokerage margins for the last 10 years have decreased steadily by about a point a year. So I think they're down to like a margin of 9%, 8%. It's just not a business I'm interested for all the moving parts of real estate transactions. So that was one thing that was kind of weighing on me. But then secondly is that I'm good at selling, I'm good at recruiting, I'm good at training. So I wasn't really maxing out my full potential at the brokerage because I had to do things that I wasn't really good at. And yeah, you can hire, do all that stuff, but all those things combined, I just knew this wasn't going to be the long-term sustainability. So once I had 50 agents, you know, you're kind of like a manager, salesperson. And I always wanted to expand, even when we were starting, our first website, and my business partner now in his garage. I remember this. We're like, dude, we're going to be international one day. And, you know, as time goes on, you start to see that seems really freaking far out from where you're at as an independent brokerage. So I had met Brian Colhane in 2017 at an event in Albuquerque, actually. And at the time, I just wasn't ready. I was still like, I was in the trenches still. And I understand, I didn't see the vision yet. But when I realized that I can not only now go from one-dimensional income of my brokerage to now three-dimensional, and people would now call the dividend four-dimensional. Yeah. And I can eliminate all of the things I don't like, which is the liability. Speaking of liability, I actually got sued for like $800,000 from a slip and fall at an open house. Now, luckily, I also own an insurance company, so I was all square on that, but the liability is real. I mean, that had just wiped me out, you know? And then from that side, liability management, and then also just the ability to, I didn't realize this as I was kind of on an island. I was on this, I call it independent broker island. I didn't realize how many agents out there and people that were so successful I could learn from. See, my biggest holdback was thinking that I'm going to lose my identity as I join a bigger company. But really, I didn't realize that it only pushed my identity further and gave me more opportunities and more connections. And just, I mean, it's like a whirlwind once we joined EXP. Yeah. So all those things combined, plus when I look and say, is this a better move for those agents? Is this going to be better for them? And the answer was yes. And with that was the straw, I guess you could say, that broke the camel's back. We said, look, if this is better for them, then if what's better for them is going to be better for me. Yep. And so that was why we ultimately joined EXP. And, you know, at some level, you have to just have belief. Mm-hmm. You can't just think you're going to know exactly how it's going to go. You have to see the vision. I mean, I met Brian, I got to meet Glenn, I met a couple other people. You know, I did my due diligence, and I believe that this company is going to go where I think it's going to go. And that's why we joined.
That's awesome, man. I absolutely love that. I think, and I don't want to get into it too much, you know, but I think that a lot of people, you know, they don't see, you know, 10% or 20% of even what you just mentioned. You know, I think there's a lot of agents out there right now that, you know, they've looked at the model, right? But they've never looked at the model. And so they think they know, they think they've looked at it. They think that they, you know, and
I've never showed somebody the model start to finish and them tell me no.
Yep.
It's never happened. And I got a couple hundred agents. I've never had that happen before.
Yep. Same here, man.
People let ego get in the way. And this is with every business decision. I don't want to go down the EXP rabbit hole either, but yeah, I mean, it's just, you got to wake up and see that there's a better way to do real estate. And here's the other thing for you real estate entrepreneurs. I want to drop this piece of knowledge real quick. Yep. I made a lot of mistakes when I started making a lot of money, because I love business. It's in general. Like, if you're making money, I want to know how. And I don't discriminate against any business. And I have a couple businesses, but one thing I did was, actually, let me back up. One thing to always remember is, if real estate is the bread and butter, keep the main thing the main thing. I've gone off these rabbit holes of freaking, you know, insurance, different JVs and joint ventures, and, you know, our other brands. And I mean, you name it, I've explored it and I've dabbled in it. But what happened was, it took me away from my center path, which, if I look back, everything I have is from real estate. So in the thought process of keeping the main thing, I was like, if you can benefit from multiple factors, multiple income streams, which we're looking for, right? I'm looking for multiple income streams. By keeping the main thing, that's the best business model you can be a part of, hands down. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. That's
freaking awesome, man. Like, you literally, dude, like you're me, like older version of me, more successful version of me. I absolutely am loving this interview, because dude, similar. I've done other businesses. I've started multiple 7-figure businesses, highly successful. And they always took me away from real estate. And I've been in real estate since the day I turned 18 years old. And man, like if people are in real estate right now and they just, because like you said, man, there's so many opportunities in real estate. You don't got to go to another industry.
Nope.
You can generate 100 streams of income eventually from one single industry. So keep the main thing, man. I absolutely love that. And I think, to kind of wrap that up, yeah, EXP is just a phenomenal brokerage, in my opinion, that allows people to do that and keep that main thing, knowing what you know now, right? And you might've already answered it, but knowing what you know now, 28 years old, highly successful, you've had trials, you've had tribulations, ultimately you've done a lot. If you were to give advice to, your let's call it your 15-year-old self, right? Or a 16-year-old self, you're kind of grown up, you're about to be an adult, you're about to enter into the workforce. What piece of advice would you give a younger version of yourself?
In terms of money, I would say shavings make a pile. And I remember being broke, what I consider broke. And I would just spend every dollar. Cause I'm like, what am I going to do? Save $200? And shavings make a pile. That's number one. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I've made, 100,000 in a month before, and you mismanage it the same way you're going to mismanage $100. And except the losses are just way bigger. So understanding how money works and getting very, very organized I don't care if you make $100 a week or 100,000 a week, just organizing yourself financially. That's one thing I didn't do. And I didn't take credit serious enough. I thought, well, shit, I got enough cash in the bank. That doesn't matter. So credit, and then taking full control of the money you do have, because those fundamentals you learn are exactly what you're going to keep doing, except the numbers just get bigger. But if you don't ever put those fundamentals in place, it doesn't matter how big the numbers are, you're going to screw it up. And, I've gone through those iterations of, learning accounting and taxes and how to save and, that type of stuff. So that's number one. But number two, I would say, that's a money standpoint. That's all you can do at 15, really, in my opinion. And then I would just say getting around people who you admire. And it doesn't have to be from a business standpoint. I have different people in my life, very close circles, but I have different people I admire for different reasons. I got kind of a spiritual side of people who I really enjoy their perspective. I have guys who run businesses. I see others that have wives and kids, and I really admire how they deal with their marriages and with their kids and all that stuff. So I just say start getting around more people that you admire. And people will, how do I find a mentor? It's like, you get this mentor thing out of your head. It's build a relationship, and that relationship will become the mentor. It's not like you put out applications here, do you want to be my mentor? Sign up for this. You have this concept fixated in your head, it's some job title you're giving somebody else. They will award themselves your mentor as a mentor if you give them the opportunity to. But how do you give them the opportunity? You have to build a relationship. So that would be the other thing that I think you could go way further when you have the right people around you that are giving you advice that truly is there to help you with no agenda whatsoever.
Dude, absolutely.
That's
absolutely
probably one
that.
of the most important. And I do that to this day. I mean, that's something I practice to this day. And I think that for 15 years old, you could probably comprehend that.
Oh yeah, dude. Absolutely. And by the way, I just picked a number out of a hat, but both of those answers that you just gave, that applies to somebody that's 10 years old. It applies to somebody that's 15, 20, 25, 30, and onward and upward, right? I mean, learning those necessary skills and doing that and implementing that, putting that in action it's life-changing. It's truly life-changing. So I absolutely love that. All right. Final question for you, and then I'll let you go. This is, I could theoretically be a bit more controversial, I guess, but I'm just curious. I like to ask everybody, especially right now, what are your thoughts on the real estate market? Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? I like to throw that out there. Nobody has a crystal ball, but what do you think in the next 2-3 years? Should people be sitting on the sidelines right now, dollar cost averaging into the market? I mean, what's the real estate market about to do?
Yeah, that is the $1,000,000 question, right? Or $1,000,000 question, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Well, I have a couple different I have things that I just pay attention to. I really try not to get too involved in like, way up here stuff. I try to focus on my ecosystem and what I can control.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen this since 2013, ever since I actually learned about it. But there are these massive companies buying up single family homes. And like, they've even stepped into New Mexico now, and they're doing it all over the country. So something tells me it's like, well, why would these companies who manage a lot of the world's wealth, at least United States wealth, why are they buying single family homes? And I think that right now with supply and demand, you're seeing people not only not be able to get a house because of competition, but there's a lot of people who there's a massive workforce that cannot qualify for homes. That's just the reality. They cannot qualify. Any bump in interest rates lessens their chances of qualifying. And last time I checked, materials, goods, services aren't going down in cost anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So I think that we're going to be sitting in a market where it's going to be a massive rental market. And I think in this next cycle, in real estate cyclical, we're kind of in the 13th inning of a 10-year ball game. I think that that's what's going to happen there. I do think that inflation is something that is there's already been a 5% inflation on the year. Your $100,000 is now worth 95. I think that you should always have, cash reserves and be liquid in some regard, right? But I do think that right now, finding good deals, finding assets that cash flow, and on a rental side, single family and multifamily, I think that's what we're doing. That's where my head's at. I think that prices are only going to go up. I don't see them going down. And as always, location with the real estate you do buy. That's kind of don't overcomplicate the wheel, but that's where I see things right now.
I love it, man. I love it. And there's no wrong answer to that. That's the beautiful thing. I've heard a lot of different answers. I love that one in particular. I tend to resonate with basically everything you just said. And we actually sell a lot of deals to the big institutional investors right now too. So I'm seeing firsthand them coming in and honestly, arguably overpaying for a lot of these houses. But again, like you said, they have billions of dollars. Who knows exactly what their strategy is? They're hedging their money against inflation. They don't want to buy the 10-year treasury. I don't know, but it is very, very interesting what's going on in the market, and follow the money, right? Follow the money.
Right. That's right, man.
So, well, awesome, Ramon. I really appreciate you being on here with me today. Where's the best place people can find you? Is it Instagram?
Dude, it's the gram, man. It's always the gram. Yeah. It's funny. People ask me for a business card. I don't know how many times I got asked for a business card the other day. And I was like, man, just follow me on Instagram. You can message me whenever. You can ask me questions. Like, you can send me videos. I can
Yep.
So yeah, Instagram's the best place. Ramon.Casaus, RAMON.CASAUS.
Amazing. I appreciate that. And I'll put that on the screen too. I'll also put it in the link in the description below. So guys, definitely go follow him, get his book and pay close attention. God knows what he's doing. He's 28 years old, absolutely killing the game. And just honestly, truly an honor to have you here, Ramon. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. And maybe one day I'll get to be on your podcast.
Yeah, man. Let's make it happen.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you real soon.
Sounds good.